Iraqis across the country voted Saturday in provincial elections that will help shape their future. But regardless of the outcome, it is clear that the Americans are already drifting off stage, and that most Iraqis are ready to see them go.
We feel comfortable, very safe when we don't see American Army trucks in the street. It's a sure thing when we don't see armed people, trucks, and weapons in the street.
The signs of mutual disengagement are everywhere. American helicopters and drones may be in the sky, but Iraqi boots are on the ground. The end of an era comes not in a single moment, but looking back, it has become evident that the mood has changed, power has shifted, the world is not the same. In the United States, many Americans view the war as already over, even though more than 140,000 soldiers remain on Iraqi soil. President Obama has made it plain that Iraq is not his war. He wants to focus on Afghanistan.
We're going to have some difficult decisions that we're going to have to make surrounding Iraq and Afghanistan most immediately.
Any arguments in Washington about the troop withdrawal seem almost moot here in Baghdad. Iraqis want to show that they can govern on their own.
We believe that our government is taking care of the situation. We firmly believe that it is capable of taking care of the situation, God willing.
This is not to suggest that the war is over. Counterinsurgency operations are still underway. The military is tracking signs of activity by Sunni extremist groups. For now, the rest of the country is mostly calm. The provincial elections will test political stability, whether Iraqis can begin to resolve sectarian tensions through the ballot box. There was almost no violence on election day, but a ban on driving and confusion over where voters should cast their ballots appeared to reduce turnout. The United States disengagement started in earnest in November, when the Iraqi parliament approved a new security agreement with the Americans that sealed the date of departure by the end of 2011 and almost immediately changed the balance of power.
We have a responsibility to build up our security and military forces as long as we depend on the pact. The pace of withdrawals will be accelerated and will occur before the date set in the agreement.
The outlook of Iraqi citizens has changed as well. They are more confident that their problems are their own and that the Americans cannot fix them and often have only made matters worse.
The Iraqis have a wise leadership that can govern the country without Americans.
The resentment of Americans boiled over in 2007 after Blackwater security guards opened fire on Iraqi civilians, killing 17 of them. Iraqis saw Americans as having a casual disregard for their lives. Such anger emboldened Iraqis to drive a tough bargain on the security agreement. Americans were forced to accept a deadline for departure, give up immunity for contractors like Blackwater, and give Iraqis more authority over military operations. Now, for both sides, there is the feeling that something has changed and that whatever happens next, Iraq will not return to the way it was.
It's a time of significant transition for the Iraqis because they'll select new provincial governments. I believe 75 or 80% will change. We'll then elect new district and sub-district leaders, and then we'll go into national elections and select new national leaders. So that time of transition is very vulnerable for them. And oh, by the way, we'll begin to reduce our size here.
Still, the American era in Iraq is nowhere near a final act. The Iraqis need the Americans not just to dampen terrorist activities within the country, but to protect them from Syria and Iran. For the United States, Iraq remains a strategic prize for its location and its oil production. Iraq will be eager to demonstrate its independence. The United States will have to rely on levers other than a huge and continuing military presence. This promises considerable tension as each side redefines its relationship.
Right
now, the United States will not need big troops here. Indeed, the relationship between Iraq and America needs a new chapter.
The elections on Saturday were a step toward a peaceful approach to settling disagreements among factions about the shape of the country. If new governments are seated from north to south and from east to west, the United States and Iraq can begin the next act in earnest.